Hi everyone. So in this video, I want to talk about programming languages. First of all, why is a programming language even called a programming language? What is so similar between a programming language and a normal language? So to answer that, first thing is that language is anything that helps you communicate between two people or two entities. In this case, programming language is something that helps programmer communicate with the device, with the machine, with the computer. The programmer writes something which he understands, and then that is also understood by the machine, which is also basically the purpose of any language. Are there any other similarities between a programming language and a normal language that we use? So let's just take an example and look into that. So why language and why specifically a programming language and any other language like English, Hindi? Why is there a similarity? So let's deep dive into taking an example of Python and English. So Python is a programming language, English is a normal language we use day to day. So in English, we know there are two parts. There's English grammar that basically tells us the rules to write in English, and then there is English literature. That is basically the content, what we are trying to exchange, the ideas, the stories, the facts, poems, essays. That is the content. Now, if you remember, literature is something that is language independent. You don't really need English to write a story. You can write a story in any language. Similarly, if we compare it with Python, Python also has two parts. It is syntax and it has logical algorithms. Syntax is just the grammar of a language. So just like in English, we have grammar that basically tells us what are the correct ways to write a statement, to make a statement in English. Syntax tells us what is the right way to make some statements in Python. And just like literature that gives us information, we have algorithms that are basically the logics that we use for programming. Now, as we can write a particular story, particular literature in any language, similarly we can write an algorithm in any language. Python, C, C++, Java. It is language independent, but we need at least one language. So coming on to the question, what is more important? Both have their own importance, but I think syntax should be the basic. You should learn syntax initially, and as you are familiar and confident with the syntax, you should move on to learning algorithms and differentiate while you're learning that are you getting stuck with the syntax or are you getting stuck in the logic building portion of your learning. That is going to help you. If you define what's wrong, you can fix that easily. So you should start with the basics. You don't need to get 100% knowledge of every syntax out there for Python or any other programming language, but you need to get the basics of syntax, like writing a loop, iterating over an array, iterating over a 2D matrix, the basics of syntax. And then you should switch on to more logical items, logical things, how to do searching, sorting, those kind of algorithms. Use a pen and paper, then move on to syntax. That is how you can identify, are you getting stuck in building the logic or are you getting stuck in writing it or translating that logic into Python code. So if you are getting stuck in the syntax, you need to read more Python code. You need to read how to do basic things in Python. And if you are getting stuck in logical algorithms, you need to practice more. You need to implement more. You need to write a lot more code. So just to wrap this off, just think about it. Compare it when you are asked to write something, asked to write a summary of some article in English. Are you worried about how are you going to frame a statement in English? No, I don't think so. You are pretty confident that if you know what is the subject, you can easily write about that article in your own words. because you are confident of the English grammar. You are confident that you can make statements in English. You can write statements in English on your own. All you need is to have the understanding of the core subject, core literature. And once you have that, you are good to go. You are not worried about how are you going to convert it into English. The same state should be achieved with Python as well. Yeah, you work through an algorithm, you read and learn about an algorithm, but you should not be worried about how you are going to convert that algorithm into actual Python code. If that is your worry, you should take a step back and start learning the syntax once again. Be familiar with the syntax and then move on to the next step of algorithms. Have this division very clearly. And finally, the takeaway from this whole video I would want you to have is how to write something in Python should not bother you. Focus more on what will you write. Focus more on the actual algorithm, on the actual logic. Focus on what have you done on pen and paper. Focus on that. And then how to write it in Python should not bother you. If in case you are not confident of how to write something in Python, step back, find out what syntax is that you are missing. What exactly do you not know? If you have to loop over an array, you should not be worrying about how do I write a loop, right? So I hope this video helps. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.